Hello. Welcome to this quiet hour you've given yourself tonight. This is not a loud moment in life. It's not a moment for striving or fixing or proving anything. It's a softer time. A time that seems to arrive more often as the years pass. When you're younger, nighttime is something you fall into. But later in life, you enter it more consciously, with awareness, with memory, with a gentle appreciation for what has been carried this far. In these hours, gratitude doesn't announce itself. It doesn't rush in with excitement. It arrives slowly, in small thoughts, in quiet realizations that you're still here, still breathing, still capable of feeling warmth, tenderness, and connection. This space is for that kind of gratitude. The kind that doesn't need words right away. The kind that settles in your chest and simply rests there. So allow the night to hold you for a moment. Let the day loosen its grip and let yourself arrive exactly as you are. And now, before we begin, if this kind of tender, honest reflection speaks to something in you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And down in the comments, tell me where you're listening from and what the hour is where you are right now. There's something deeply comforting about knowing we're all here together, scattered across the world, but united in these still hours when our hearts finally have permission to speak softly. Because tonight, we're going to sit with that aging heart of yours. We're going to listen to what it wants to say in these quiet hours when the world has stopped demanding things from you. When you don't have to be strong or capable or put together. When you can simply be here with your heart, acknowledging how it's changed and what it carries and how it speaks now in whispers rather than shouts. So settle in. Find your comfortable position. Let your body relax into whatever surface is holding you. And know that for the next hour, your heart is allowed to speak as softly as it needs to. You don't have to amplify it. You don't have to explain it. You just have to listen. Let's begin. It's quiet now. The world has finally stopped making noise. The demands of the day have released their grip. The people who need things from you have gone to their own beds, their own lives, their own nights. And here you are, alone with your heart in these quiet hours. Your heart is beating right now. Steady, reliable. It's been beating for decades without you having to think about it. 70 times a minute, 4,000 times an hour, over 100,000 times a day, for 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, more. It's been working this whole time, keeping you alive, pumping blood, sustaining life, asking nothing in return except that you keep breathing. But your heart is more than just muscle and rhythm and biological function. You know this. Your heart is where you feel everything, where love lives, where pain settles, where memories are stored in ways your brain can't quite access. Your heart remembers things your mind has forgotten. Your heart carries things your body can't hold anywhere else. And tonight, in these quiet hours, your heart wants to speak. Not loudly, not dramatically. Your heart doesn't shout anymore. It's learned that shouting doesn't help, that the loudest feelings aren't always the truest ones, that sometimes the most important things can only be said in whispers. So listen, be still. Let your heart speak softly. Your heart remembers being young. It remembers racing, pounding, beating so hard you could feel it in your throat, in your ears, in your fingertips. Your heart remembers the terror of first love, the way it would speed up just seeing someone across a room, the way it would skip when they smiled at you, the way it would ache when they didn't. You thought that racing heart was love, and maybe it was. Young love, new love, the kind of love that's all intensity and no wisdom, the kind that feels like it might kill you and you don't even care because at least you're feeling something, this big, this overwhelming, this real. Your heart remembers staying up all night talking to someone, the way time disappeared, the way the rest of the world faded, the way you felt like you'd finally found the person who understood you, who saw you, who made the ache of existence feel bearable. Your young heart believed in forever. It believed in promises made at 3 a.m. It believed that feelings this strong couldn't possibly fade. That connection this deep couldn't possibly break. That love this intense would sustain itself on its own power forever. Your heart was wrong about that, but it had to believe it at the time. Young hearts have to believe in forever because they haven't learned about endings yet. They haven't learned that the strongest feelings are often the most temporary. That intensity burns out. That what feels eternal in the moment can disappear so completely you'll barely remember what it felt like. But your heart remembers, even now, even after all these years. Your heart carries traces of that first love, that first heartbreak, that first lesson in how much you can feel and how much you can survive feeling. Your heart learned to race for other things too. Excitement, anticipation, fear, anxiety. Your 20s and 30s were full of racing heart moments. Job interviews, first apartments, moving to new cities, taking risks, making choices that felt enormous, believing your whole future depended on getting things right. Your heart would pound before big presentations, before difficult conversations, before confrontations you'd been avoiding. Your heart would race when you were trying to be brave, when you were pretending to be more confident than you felt, when you were faking competence until you could develop actual competence. Those were exhausting years for your heart. Always racing, always responding, always on alert. Your heart didn't know how to be calm because your life didn't allow for calm. You were building something, creating something, trying to become someone. Your heart matched the intensity of those efforts. You remember lying awake at night, heart pounding, mind spinning, unable to rest because there was so much to do, so much to prove, so much at stake. Your heart wouldn't slow down because you wouldn't slow down. You pushed and your heart pushed with you. You demanded and your heart delivered. You insisted and your heart complied until it started to hurt. You don't remember exactly when the shift happened, when your racing heart stopped feeling like excitement and started feeling like stress, when the pounding stopped, meaning you were alive, and started meaning you were overwhelmed, when your heart began sending signals that something needed to change. Maybe it was a scare, a health issue, a moment when your heart beat irregularly and you felt genuine fear. The kind of fear that makes you realize your heart isn't indestructible, that it can fail, that it needs care, that you've been taking it for granted. Or maybe it was slower than that. Maybe your heart just gradually grew tired. The racing became harder to recover from. The pounding took longer to settle. The intensity left you depleted rather than energized. Your heart was asking you to slow down, but you didn't know how to listen yet. You learned, though. Eventually you learned. Your heart taught you through pain, through discomfort, through moments when it hurt enough that you had to pay attention, through nights when anxiety gripped your chest and you couldn't tell if it was your heart or your mind or some terrible combination of both, through days when exhaustion settled so deep in your bones that every heartbeat felt like effort. Your heart was speaking then, not softly, loudly, urgently. It was telling you that something had to change, that you couldn't keep living at this pace, that racing wasn't sustainable, that you needed to learn a different way of being in the world. So you started to slow down, not all at once, not easily, but gradually, incrementally. You started saying no to things. You started protecting your time. You started recognizing that not every opportunity was worth the cost to your heart. That some things, no matter how exciting they seemed, would demand more than you could give. Your heart began to beat differently, still steady, still reliable, but calmer, less reactive, less frantic. You learned what triggered the racing, and you learned to avoid those triggers when possible. You learned what helped your heart settle, and you learned to seek those things out. You learned to listen to what your heart needed rather than just demanding what you wanted. This wasn't weakness. This was wisdom. Your heart was teaching you that sustainable living requires pace, requires rhythm, requires periods of rest between periods of exertion. Your heart was showing you that you don't have to race through life, that there's another way, a quieter way, a way that honors your limits rather than constantly pushing against them. You started to notice your heartbeat in different contexts, not just when it was racing, but when it was calm. You'd sit quietly and feel it, steady, present, reliable. Your heart doing its job without drama or crisis, just beating, just sustaining, just keeping you alive one moment at a time. There was comfort in this, in noticing your own aliveness, in feeling your hard work, in appreciating that your body was still functioning, still carrying you, still doing what it needed to do. Your heart became less of an enemy demanding things and more of a companion accompanying you through life. You learned to check in with your heart, to ask it how it was doing, to notice when it was tense or when it was calm, to recognize the difference between healthy exertion and unhealthy stress. Your heart became a guide, a teacher, a source of information about how you were really doing beneath whatever face you were showing the world. And then love changed. Your heart had learned to race for romantic love, for passion, for intensity, for the kind of love that takes over your whole life and makes everything else disappear. But as you aged, as your heart grew older and wiser and quieter, you discovered that love doesn't have to race to be real. You fell in love differently in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. If you fell in love at all, some of you did, some of you didn't. Some of you chose partnership, Some of you chose solitude. But either way, your heart learned new ways of loving. The racing was replaced by steadiness. The intensity was replaced by depth. The drama was replaced by peace. You learned that the best love doesn't make your heart pound. It makes your heart rest. It creates a space where your heart can beat calmly because it feels safe. Because it's not constantly anticipating loss or betrayal or abandonment. You learn to love with your whole self, not just your racing heart. You learned that real intimacy is built in quiet moments, in ordinary conversations, in shared routines, in the simple act of being together without needing constant excitement or validation or proof that the feelings are still there. Your aging heart discovered that the deepest love whispers. It doesn't shout. It shows up in small ways. In remembering how someone takes their coffee, in noticing when they're tired, in offering comfort without being asked, in staying when things get difficult instead of running toward the next exciting thing. This kind of love requires a heart that's learned to be still, to be present, to be patient. Your young heart couldn't have managed this. Your young heart needed fireworks and declarations and grand gestures. Your aging heart knows that love is quieter than that, more reliable than that, more real than that. You learn to love people for who they actually are, rather than who you need them to be. You learn to accept flaws because you've become aware of your own flaws. You learn to forgive quickly because you understand how badly you need forgiveness. You learned that no one is perfect, and that's not the point. The point is finding someone whose imperfections you can live with, whose heart beats at a rhythm compatible with yours. Or you learn to live without romantic love entirely. Some of you did. Through choice or circumstance, you found yourself alone, and your heart had to learn how to beat for yourself, how to find meaning and purpose and connection without a partner, how to be complete rather than constantly seeking completion through someone else. This was hard learning. Your heart ached differently in solitude, not the sharp pain of heartbreak, something deeper, something more existential. The quiet grief of coming home to an empty house, of having no one to share small moments with, of carrying your experiences alone because there's no one who's building a life with you. But your heart also learned freedom in this solitude. It learned that you can survive alone, that you're stronger than you thought, that you don't need another person to validate your existence or give your life meaning. Your heart learned to beat for your own sake, to find joy in things that have nothing to do with romance or partnership or external validation. Your heart learned to love other things, your work, your hobbies, your friends, your children if you have them, your grandchildren if you're blessed with them, your pets, your home, your garden, your routines, your quiet mornings, your peaceful evenings, your own company. These aren't lesser loves, they're different loves, and your aging heart has learned to recognize them as loves, to feel them fully, to let them matter, to allow them to fill the spaces that romantic love might have filled in a younger life. Your heart speaks differently about these loves, softly, gratefully, without the urgency that accompanies romantic passion. Your heart says, I'm glad this exists. I'm thankful for this small good thing. I'm content with what I have. This is enough. Enough. That's a word your young heart never understood. Your young heart always wanted more. More intensity, more excitement, more proof that you were alive and special and worthy. Your aging heart has learned the radical wisdom of enough, of sufficiency, of being satisfied with what is, rather than constantly reaching for what might be. Your heart learned this through loss. You've lost people. Everyone does, if they live long enough. You've lost people you loved, people your heart depended on, people who seemed essential to your continued existence. And when they left or died or simply drifted away, your heart had to learn to keep beating anyway. This is perhaps the hardest thing your heart has ever done. To keep beating when it wanted to stop. To keep functioning when the person it beat for is gone. To keep sustaining life when life feels unsustainable. Your heart broke. Actually broke. Not metaphorically. You felt it physically. The pain in your chest, the heaviness, the sensation that something inside you had shattered and could never be repaired. People say heartbreak isn't literal, but you know better. You've felt your heart break. You've lived through that rupture, and somehow your heart healed. Not completely, not perfectly, but enough. Enough to keep going. Enough to keep loving. Enough to keep opening to connection, even though you know now how badly connection can hurt when it ends. Your heart carries scars. You can feel them. They're tender spots, memories that still hurt when you touch them. People whose names still make your heart clench. Losses that still ache on certain days or in certain moments or when certain songs play. These scars are part of your heart now. They've changed its shape, changed how it beats, changed what it's willing to risk. Your heart is more cautious now, more protective. It doesn't open as easily as it used to. It doesn't trust as quickly. It knows what loss feels like, and it's not eager to feel that again. But your heart also knows that closing completely isn't living. That protection can become prison. That you can't avoid all pain without also avoiding all joy. So your heart has learned a delicate balance. Opening carefully, loving consciously, connecting while maintaining enough boundary to survive if that connection ends. Your aging heart speaks softly about loss. It doesn't dramatize grief. It doesn't perform mourning. It simply acknowledges, this hurts. I miss them. The world is different without them. I carry this. And then it keeps beating. Because that's what hearts do. They keep beating until they don't. You think about that sometimes. In these quiet hours, you think about your heart stopping, about the beat that will be your last, about the moment when this reliable companion will finally rest. Your heart will stop, and that will be the end of you, the end of this life, the end of this consciousness, the end of everything you know and are and have been. This thought doesn't terrify you the way it might have when you were young. Your aging heart has made peace with its own ending, not eager for it, not welcoming it, but not fighting it with the desperate panic of someone who believes they have all the time in the world. Your heart knows its time is limited, that every beat brings you closer to the last beat, that you're in the final section of your life, whether that means 10 more years or 30 more years. Your heart knows this, and instead of making you frantic, this knowledge makes you tender. Your heart speaks more softly because it knows it won't speak forever. It savors moments because it understands that moments are finite. It loves more gently because it recognizes that gentleness matters more than intensity. It forgives more readily because it knows how little time there is for holding grudges. Your aging heart has developed patience, real patience, not the forced patience of self-control, but the organic patience of someone who understands that rushing doesn't help, that pushing doesn't work, that some things simply take time and there's no way around that. Your heart is patient with your body as it ages and slows and becomes less reliable. Your heart is patient with your mind as it forgets names and loses words and takes longer to process information. Your heart is patient with your emotions as they surface unexpectedly, triggered by small things, overwhelming you at odd moments. Your heart holds space for all of this, for the grief of aging, for the losses that accompany getting older, for the ways your life has contracted even as your understanding has expanded. Your heart doesn't judge these feelings. It simply allows them, acknowledges them, beats steadily through them. In these quiet hours, your heart speaks about regret. Things you wish you'd done differently. People you wish you'd treated better. Choices you wish you could remake. Words you wish you could take back. Moments you wish you'd been more present for. Time you wish you hadn't wasted on things that didn't matter. Your heart carries these regrets gently. It doesn't torture you with them. It doesn't insist you should have known better. It simply acknowledges. Yes, that happened. Yes, you made mistakes. Yes, you can't change it now. And then it keeps beating, because regret, however valid, doesn't stop life, doesn't undo time, doesn't change what was. Your aging heart has learned forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness. The kind of forgiveness that says, you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. You were younger, you were scared, you were hurt. You were doing what you thought was right. Even when it wasn't. You're human. You made mistakes. You can't fix them now, but you can stop punishing yourself for them. This forgiveness is grace. Real grace. The kind that allows your heart to rest. To stop carrying guilt that serves no purpose except to make you feel bad. Your heart is tired of carrying things that don't need to be carried anymore, so it sets them down. Not dramatically, not ceremonially. It just quietly releases what it no longer needs to hold. Your heart speaks about gratitude in these quiet hours, not the performative gratitude of social media posts or forced positivity. Real gratitude, genuine appreciation for what you have, for what you've experienced, for the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still able to feel your heartbeat in the darkness. You're grateful for simple things now, things your young heart would have overlooked. The comfort of your bed, the warmth of blankets, the absence of pain on days when your body cooperates, the ability to see and hear and move, the presence of people who care about you, even if they don't understand you completely, the small pleasures that make life bearable. Your heart has learned that these small things are actually the big things, that life isn't made of grand moments, but of accumulation of ordinary ones. That happiness isn't dramatic, but quiet. That contentment comes from appreciating what is, rather than constantly wanting what isn't. Your aging heart beats most peacefully when it's allowed to simply be, when you're not demanding anything from it, when you're not asking it to race or perform or prove anything, when you're just sitting quietly, feeling it work, thanking it for another day of keeping you alive. These quiet hours are when your heart speaks most clearly, when all the noise has stopped, when all the demands have ceased, when you're alone with yourself and there's nothing to do except listen. Your heart has been trying to tell you things for years, but you've been too busy to hear, too distracted, too focused on external things. But now, in the stillness, you can finally hear what your heart has been whispering. It says, slow down. You don't have to rush anymore. It says, rest. You've earned rest. You've worked hard enough. It says, you're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to need help. You're allowed to admit you can't do everything anymore. It says, love the people you have while you have them. Tell them. Show them. Don't wait. It says, forgive, let go, release. Life is too short to carry anger. It says, be gentle with yourself. You're doing better than you think. It says, this moment is enough. You don't need it to be more than it is. It says, you matter. Your life has mattered. The love you've given has mattered. The care you've offered has mattered. You don't have to prove your worth anymore. It's already established. It says, I'm tired, but I'm okay. I'll keep beating as long as I can. And when I stop, know that I did my best, that we did our best together. Your heart speaks so softly in these quiet hours. But if you listen, really listen, you can hear everything it needs to say. Your heart remembers joy, pure joy, the kind that had no reason except that you were alive and the world was beautiful, and that was enough. Your young heart knew this joy instinctively, before life taught you to be careful, before disappointment made you cautious, before loss taught you that everything ends. You remember running as a child, your heart racing not from fear or stress, but from the sheer exhilaration of movement, your legs pumping, your lungs filling with air, your heart pounding with the delight of being a body in motion. You ran for no reason except that running felt good, that your heart could beat that fast and you could keep going and going, and the world rushed past and you felt invincible. When did you stop running? When did movement stop being joy and start being exercise, obligation, something you should do rather than something you want to do? Your heart remembers the transition, the slow shift from playful movement to purposeful movement, from running because it felt good to running, because you needed to maintain your health, from joyful exertion to dutiful maintenance. Your aging heart mourns this loss sometimes, not dramatically, just quietly. It remembers what it felt like to race with joy rather than anxiety, to pound with excitement rather than stress, to beat fast because you were laughing so hard you couldn't breathe, not because you were worried about something you couldn't control. But your heart also knows joy still exists, different joy, quieter joy, the joy of watching sunlight move across a room, the joy of hearing someone you love laugh, the joy of finishing a good book, the joy of a meal that tastes exactly right, the joy of waking up without pain, the joy of an unexpected kind word from a stranger. These joys don't make your heart race. They make it soften. They make it warm. They create a feeling in your chest that's not excitement, but something deeper. Contentment, gratitude, a sense that despite everything, despite all the losses and disappointments and heartbreaks, there is still beauty in the world. There is still reason to be glad you're alive. Your heart speaks about your children in these quiet hours, if you have them. It speaks about the love that changed everything. The love you didn't understand until you held a tiny human and realized your heart could exist outside your body, that you would never be safe again because your heart was now walking around in the world, vulnerable, precious, completely beyond your control. You remember the first time you heard their heartbeat in an ultrasound room, that rapid flutter, that proof of life growing inside or coming into your life. Your own heart responded, beat faster, beat harder, beat with a fierce protectiveness you'd never experienced before. Your heart swore in that moment that it would do anything, absolutely anything, to keep that other heart beating. And you tried. Your heart poured itself into protecting them, keeping them safe, making sure they had everything they needed. You stayed awake when they were sick, your heart monitoring their breathing, your chest tight with worry until their fever broke. You sat in emergency rooms, your heart pounding, bargaining with God or the universe or anyone who might listen. Please let them be okay. Please don't take them. I'll do anything. Your heart aged decades in single nights of worry. When they didn't come home on time, when they made dangerous choices, when they suffered and you couldn't fix it, when they hurt and you couldn't heal them, when they needed things you couldn't provide, your heart broke in new ways, ways you didn't know were possible until you loved someone this completely. But your heart also expanded in ways you couldn't have imagined. It learned a love that asks nothing in return, that gives without counting the cost, that shows up again and again even when it's not appreciated or acknowledged or understood. Your heart learned what it means to love someone more than you love yourself, to genuinely, truly put another person's well-being above your own. Now they're grown, your children, if you have them. They've built their own lives, made their own choices, become their own people, and your heart has had to learn the hardest lesson of all, how to let go, how to stop protecting, how to trust that you've given them what they need, and now they have to find their own way. Your heart aches with this, the distance, the necessary separation, the fact that they don't need you the way they used to. They call less frequently. They share less of their lives. They have their own problems now. And they don't always want your advice or your help or your presence. This is healthy. This is right. This is what you raised them to do. But your heart grieves anyway. In these quiet hours, your heart whispers their names, thinks about them, wonders if they're okay, hopes they're happy, carries love that has nowhere to go because they don't need it actively anymore. But your heart keeps producing it anyway. You can't stop loving them. You can't stop caring. You can't stop being their parent, even though they're adults who don't need parenting. So your heart holds this love quietly. It sends it out into the universe. It hopes somehow they feel it, even when you're not speaking to them. It trusts that the foundation you built is still there, still supporting them, still giving them something to stand on, even if they're not consciously aware of it. Your heart speaks about your parents in these quiet hours. If they're still alive, it carries worry about them, awareness of their aging, recognition that time is limited, that phone calls matter, that visits matter, that you need to say things while there's still time to say them. Your heart knows you'll regret the words left unspoken more than the words you found the courage to voice. If your parents are gone, your heart carries a different weight. The orphan weight. The strange untethered feeling of no longer being anyone's child. Of being the older generation now. Of having no buffer between yourself and your own mortality. Your heart beats with the awareness that you're next. That the generation above you is gone, and now you're the one at the front of the line. Your heart remembers their hearts. The sound of your mother's heartbeat when you laid your head on her chest as a child. The strength of your father's heartbeat when he held you. Their hearts kept you safe once. Their hearts beat for you. And now their hearts have stopped or are slowing, and your heart has to carry the grief of that. You miss them in ways you didn't expect. Small ways. Random ways. You see something and think, Mom would have loved this. And then remember she's not here to tell. You have a problem and think, Dad would know what to do. And then remember you can't call him. Your heart aches with these small rememberings, these daily tiny losses that accumulate into the larger loss of their complete absence. But your heart also carries gratitude for what they gave you, for the ways they shaped you, for the love they offered, even if it was imperfect. Your aging heart has developed compassion for their failings, understanding that they were doing their best with their own wounded hearts, that they gave what they could even if it wasn't everything you needed. Your heart has forgiven them, mostly, for the ways they hurt you, for the things they couldn't give, for their own limitations and fears and damage. Your heart understands now that everyone is wounded, everyone is trying, everyone is carrying more than is visible from the outside. Your parents were people with their own pain, their own struggles, their own fears. They loved you from within their own limitations. In these quiet hours, your heart speaks to them sometimes, says the things you never said when they were alive, thanks them, forgives them, tells them you understand now in ways you couldn't understand when you were younger. Your heart sends this backward through time, hoping somehow they can hear it, knowing they probably can't, doing it anyway because your heart needs to speak these truths. Your heart talks about friendship differently now. The friends of your youth are scattered, or gone, or changed beyond recognition. The people who knew you when you were young, who witnessed your early self, who shared the intensity of those formative years, most of them aren't in your life anymore. Your heart mourns this, the slow attrition of friendship, the way connection fades even when there was genuine love. Some friendships ended dramatically. Fights, betrayals, hurts that couldn't be forgiven. Your heart remembers these ruptures, the pain of losing someone who mattered, the grief of friendship ending. Your heart learned that romantic love isn't the only love that breaks your heart. that losing a friend can hurt just as much, that some friendships leave scars that never fully heal. Other friendships just faded. Life pulled you in different directions. Distance made connection harder. You stopped calling. They stopped calling. You meant to reach out but never did. They meant to visit but never made it. And slowly, imperceptibly, the friendship that once felt essential became a memory, a used to be, a person you once loved who's now a stranger. Your heart carries these lost friendships gently. It doesn't blame anyone. It understands that people change, that needs change, that what worked in one season of life doesn't work in another, that holding on sometimes creates more pain than letting go. Your heart has learned to release with love, to let people leave your life without bitterness, to be grateful for what was, without demanding it continue forever. But your heart also speaks about the friendships that lasted, the people who stayed, the ones who weathered time and distance and change, the friends who've known you for decades and still choose to know you, who've seen you at your worst and didn't leave, who've celebrated your victories and mourned your losses, who show up again and again for no reason except that they love you. These friendships are gold to your aging heart, more valuable than you realized when you were young and took connection for granted. Your heart knows now how rare this is, how precious, how unlikely that someone would keep choosing you year after year, decade after decade. Your heart is grateful for these people in ways it can barely express. In these quiet hours, your heart sends love to these lasting friends. It acknowledges what they mean to you. It recognizes what they've given you. It holds them tenderly, knowing that these relationships too are temporary, that eventually death will separate you, that you need to love them fully while you can, that you need to tell them what they mean while there's still time to tell them. Your heart speaks about work, about the decades you spent working, about what you built or didn't build, about whether it mattered or didn't matter, about the ways you defined yourself through what you did, and now have to redefine yourself through who you are. If you're still working, your heart carries the weight of that, the exhaustion, the awareness that you're older than most people around you, the feeling of being outdated or irrelevant or just tired. Your heart knows you can't maintain this pace forever. That retirement is coming whether you're ready or not. That soon you'll have to figure out who you are when you're not defined by your work. If you're already retired, your heart has already navigated this transition. The loss of identity, the loss of purpose, the suddenly empty days, the absence of external validation. Your heart had to learn how to beat for yourself rather than for productivity, how to find meaning without accomplishment, how to be valuable simply by being rather than by doing. This was hard learning for your heart. Your heart was trained to believe you had to earn your place in the world, that you had to justify your existence through usefulness, that your worth was measured by what you produced. Unlearning this required your heart to fundamentally restructure its understanding of value. Your aging heart has learned, slowly, that you don't have to earn the right to exist, that you're allowed to rest, that you're allowed to simply be, that your worth isn't determined by productivity or achievement or external validation. that you matter because you're here, because you're human, because you exist. Period. This knowledge settles into your heart like a weight being lifted, like permission you didn't know you needed. Your heart beats more easily with this understanding, beats more peacefully, beats without the constant anxiety of having to prove something, achieve something, become something. Your heart speaks about your body in these quiet hours, about the complicated relationship you've had with it over the decades, the ways you've judged it, hated it, pushed it, ignored it, demanded things from it without offering care in return. Your young heart lived in a young body and took it for granted, assumed it would always work the way it worked then, never considered that strength and flexibility and energy were temporary gifts that would eventually be withdrawn. Your heart raced through a body that could keep up, that could recover quickly, that could endure almost anything you asked of it. But your aging heart lives in an aging body, and the relationship has had to change. Your body can't do what it used to do. It hurts more easily, tires more quickly, recovers more slowly, breaks down in ways it never did before. Your heart has had to learn patience with these limitations, has had to learn to work with your body rather than against it. Your heart speaks gratitude to your body now for carrying you this far, for sustaining you through decades, for healing from injuries and illnesses, for continuing to function despite all the ways you've neglected it or mistreated it. Your heart recognizes that your body has been loyal even when you weren't loyal to it. You notice your heart beat differently in this aging body. You feel it more in your chest, in your wrists, in your neck. Sometimes it beats irregularly and you feel fear. Sometimes it beats too fast and you have to slow down. Sometimes you're aware of it, laboring, working harder than it used to, struggling with tasks that once were easy. Your heart is tired. You can feel this. It's been beating for so many years, so many decades, millions upon millions of beats, and it will keep beating until it can't, until the day it finally stops. Your heart knows this day is coming. Not today, probably. Maybe not for years. But eventually, inevitably, your heart will beat its last beat, and that will be the end. In these quiet hours, you think about that final heartbeat. You wonder about it. Will you feel it? Will you know? Will there be time to recognize that this is it? This is the last one. This is how your story ends. Or will it just stop without ceremony, without awareness, without the chance to say goodbye to your own life? Your heart doesn't fear this exactly. Fear is too active an emotion for your aging heart. But it holds awareness, mindfulness, recognition that time is finite, that every heartbeat brings you closer to the last heartbeat, that this life you're living is temporary and precious and already passing. This awareness makes your heart tender, makes it softer, makes it more willing to forgive and less willing to hold grudges, makes it more interested in love and less interested in being right, makes it more focused on connection and less focused on achievement, makes it more present and less concerned with the future that's growing shorter every day. Your heart speaks about regrets in these quiet hours. Real regrets, not the surface regrets of things you wish you'd bought or places you wish you'd traveled. Deeper regrets, relational regrets, the ways you hurt people, the ways you failed to love well, the ways you let fear or pride or stubbornness keep you from connection. You think about the people you pushed away, the relationships you sabotaged, the love you rejected because you were too scared to receive it, the chances you didn't take, the words you didn't say, the apologies you didn't make, the bridges you burned that can never be rebuilt. Your heart carries these regrets carefully. It doesn't obsess over them. It doesn't torture you with what-ifs, but it acknowledges them honestly. It says, yes, I wish I'd done that differently. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I hurt people. Yes, I can't fix it now. And then it keeps beating. Because regret, however legitimate, doesn't change the past, doesn't undo choices, doesn't restore what was lost. Your aging heart has learned that the only thing you can do with regret is learn from it. Let it teach you. Let it make you kinder now. Let it make you braver now. Let it make you more willing to say the difficult things, to reach out, to choose connection even when it's scary. Your regrets about the past can inform your choices in the present. That's their only useful function. So your heart uses them that way. It takes the lessons. It applies them. It tries to love better now because of how badly it loved before. It tries to forgive more readily because it knows how desperately it needs forgiveness. It tries to be present because it learned what absence costs. It tries to speak honestly because it knows what silence destroys. Your heart speaks about faith in these quiet hours, not necessarily religious faith, though maybe that too, but faith in something, faith that existence has meaning, even if you don't understand what that meaning is. Faith that love matters even though everyone dies. Faith that your life has had value even if you can't measure that value in any concrete way. Your young heart might have had certainty, might have known exactly what it believed and why, might have had clear answers to big questions, but your aging heart has learned to live with mystery, to accept that you don't know, that you can't know, that the biggest questions don't have tidy answers, and that's okay. Your heart has made peace with uncertainty. It doesn't need to understand everything. It doesn't need proof or evidence or logical explanations for things that exist beyond logic. Your heart simply beats, simply trusts that there's something worth beating for, simply continues in faith that this life, with all its pain and beauty and confusion, is somehow meaningful. Maybe you believe in God. Maybe you don't. Maybe you used to and don't anymore. Maybe you didn't and now you do. Your heart holds whatever faith you've developed through decades of living. It holds it gently. It doesn't demand that you defend it or explain it or justify it to anyone. It's yours. It's personal. It's between you and whatever you consider sacred. In these quiet hours, your heart sometimes prays, not in any formal way necessarily, but it sends thoughts out into the universe, into the darkness, into whatever might be listening. It says, "Thank you. Please help. I'm grateful. I'm scared. I'm sorry. I love them. Please let them be okay. Please let me be okay. Please let this all mean something. Your heart doesn't know if anyone hears these prayers, but it speaks them anyway, because your heart needs to speak them. Because the act of sending love or hope or gratitude out into the universe feels necessary, even if you don't know where it goes, or who receives it, or whether it matters at all. Your aging heart has learned that faith isn't about certainty. It's about continuing anyway. It's about beating another day even though you don't know why. It's about choosing meaning even in the face of apparent meaninglessness. It's about loving even though everything ends. It's about hope even when hope seems foolish. Your heart speaks about acceptance in these quiet hours. The deep acceptance that comes from finally understanding that you can't control most things, that despite your best efforts, life happens on its own terms, that you're not in charge, that you never were, that the illusion of control was always just that, an illusion. This acceptance isn't defeat. It's not giving up. It's something much wiser than that. It's recognizing reality. It's seeing clearly. It's understanding your actual limitations and working within them, rather than constantly fighting against them. Your heart has accepted that you're aging, that your body is declining, that your time is limited, that you won't accomplish everything you hope to accomplish, that you won't become everything you hope to become, that some dreams are dead and need to be mourned and released, that some possibilities are closed and will never reopen. This acceptance brings peace, real peace. The kind of peace that comes from no longer fighting reality, from no longer exhausting yourself, trying to make things different than they are, from no longer demanding that life conform to your expectations or desires or plans. Your heart beats more calmly with this acceptance. It doesn't race with frustration or resistance anymore. It simply beats, simply continues, simply accepts what is and works with it rather than against it. You're here, in this body, in this life, in this moment. You're exactly who you are, not who you wish you were, not who you might have been, who you actually are right now, with all your flaws and failures and wounds and wisdom. This is it. This is your life, your one life, imperfect, limited, temporary, but yours. Your aging heart speaks acceptance of this, says, yes, this is my life. This is who I am. This is enough. I am enough. I've always been enough. I don't need to be more or different or better. I just need to be here, to be present, to be honest, to be kind, to keep my heart open, to keep loving, to keep showing up, to keep breathing, to keep beating. In these quiet hours, your heart whispers the truths it's learned, the wisdom it's accumulated, the understanding that's come from decades of living and loving and losing and continuing anyway. Your heart says, everything passes, the good and the bad, the joy and the pain. Nothing lasts. This is both heartbreaking and hopeful. It means you won't suffer forever. It also means you won't feel joy forever. Everything is temporary. Everything changes. Everything ends. Your heart says, love anyway, even though everyone dies, even though everything ends, even though hearts break, Love anyway. Love fiercely. Love openly. Love while you can. Because love is the only thing that makes any of this worthwhile. Your heart says, be gentle with yourself, with others, with the world. Everyone is carrying something heavy. Everyone is doing their best. Everyone deserves gentleness. Your heart says, forgive. Holding anger takes too much energy. Life is too short. People are too fragile. Forgive them. Forgive yourself. Let it go. Move forward lighter. Your heart says, rest. You've earned rest. You've worked enough. You've done enough. You've been enough. Rest now. Let yourself rest. Your heart says, you're not alone. Even when you feel alone. Even when you're literally alone. You're connected to something larger. To the billions of other hearts beating right now. To everyone who's ever lived and loved and lost. To everyone who's ever lain awake in the quiet hours and wondered if their life mattered. You're not alone. The quiet hours are ending now. Dawn is coming. Your heart has spoken everything it needed to speak tonight. It said its truths, whispered its wisdom, shared its soft voice in the darkness. And you've listened. You've been here. You've been present for your own heart. This matters more than you know. Being present for yourself. Listening to your own heart. Honoring what it carries. Acknowledging what it feels. Allowing it to speak without judgment or criticism or demands that it feel differently. Your heart is grateful for this. For your attention. For your care. For your willingness to sit with it in these quiet hours and simply be. Your heart needs this. Needs to be witnessed. Needs to be heard. Needs to know that you're paying attention to what it's trying to tell you. So rest now. Let your heart rest too. It's been working so hard, beating for you, sustaining you, carrying you through another day. Let it settle into the slower rhythm of sleep. Let it beat peacefully. Let it rest while it can. Tomorrow will come, and your heart will beat through another day. It will carry you through whatever comes. It will respond to stress and soften with joy and ache with sadness and warm with love. Your heart will do its job. It always does. It will keep you alive one beat at a time. But tonight, in these quiet hours, let it rest. Let it speak softly one more time. Let it say what it most needs you to hear. Your heart says, I love you. I've always loved you. Even when you didn't love yourself. Even when you treated yourself badly. Even when you pushed too hard or gave up too easily. I've loved you through everything. I've kept beating for you. I've kept you alive. I've never stopped trying. And I won't stop until I can't beat anymore. Your heart says, thank you. Thank you for carrying me. Thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for finally learning to listen. Thank you for slowing down. Thank you for being gentle. Thank you for continuing even when you wanted to quit. Thank you for staying alive. Thank you for being here. Your heart says, it's okay. Whatever you're worried about, whatever you're afraid of, whatever you regret, it's okay. You're okay. We're okay. We'll keep going together. One beat at a time. One breath at a time. One moment at a time. We'll make it through. Your heart says, sleep now. I'll keep watch. I'll keep beating while you rest. I'll keep you alive through the night. I'll bring you to morning. I've always brought you to morning. Trust me. Sleep now. Let go. I've got you. And your heart does have you. It's held you your entire life. It will hold you until the end. It's your most faithful companion, your truest friend, your steady presence through every single moment of your existence. So trust your heart. Listen when it speaks softly in these quiet hours. Honor what it carries. Appreciate what it does. Love it back the way it loves you. And let it rest when it needs rest. The quiet hours are sacred. These moments when your heart can finally speak, when the world is still, when you're alone with yourself and there's nothing to do except listen. These hours have taught you more than all the loud hours ever could. Your aging heart has wisdom that only comes from years of beating, from decades of loving and losing and continuing, from a lifetime of staying alive against all odds. Your heart knows things your mind doesn't know, feels things your body can't express, carries things that live nowhere else. So in these quiet hours, listen, be still, let your heart speak. Let it whisper its truths. Let it share its love. Let it offer its forgiveness. Let it express its gratitude. Let it acknowledge its fear. Let it voice its hope. Your heart is speaking to you right now, in this moment, in this darkness, in this stillness. It's beating steadily, reliably, faithfully. It's doing what it's always done, keeping you alive, sustaining you, loving you, holding you. Feel it, notice it, thank it, honor it. Your aging heart speaks softly. But if you listen, really listen, you'll hear everything you need to know. The fires die down, the stories settle, and the world grows still. Let your thoughts drift away like embers on the wind. Good night. You've journeyed far through time tonight. Now it's time to journey into dreams. Close your eyes, breathe, and let sleep find you.